gentlemen, we now have a very interesting session that will liven you up all. Ladies and gentlemen, time to welcome back on stage Mr. Anuj Puri. Can we clap for him once again, everybody?
Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to all of you. I've got a relatively easy task today. I've got a great person in here, Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani, who is the chairman of the Hiranandani group, and I've been asked to do a rapid fire session with Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani. So he's the one who's on the hot seat. It's a rare privilege to put Mr. Hiranandani on the hot seat, which usually doesn't happen. I'm going to try and make it a little exciting. We've got about 20 minutes. And then I have my dear friend Ashwinder, who's going to come in next. So 2 people on the hot seat that I'm going to ask rapid fire questions. But my rapid fire questions are going to start before I do want to ask you one industry question, Niranjan bhai. I mean, you're very astute, you're very knowledgeable. The way that you are able to predict, and we've seen it in the past, the way that you have motivated the entire Indian real estate industry. My first question to you is that, are we out of the bad times as a real estate industry?
The answer is yes. The answer is simply yes, because during COVID times, the second part of the COVID times, we had the industry-wide, there was a lot of unsold stocks. Yes. And everybody said it was a bad time, and in reality, it became a good time for the real estate industry. So there's a lot of things happening which actually turns the bad into good. So for example, let's take the issue of industry when you talk about construction industry.
Correct.
I've never seen so much construction in the Mumbai region ever in my whole life. We had 190 kilometers of railways in Mumbai region, and we are now adding only 300 kilometers of metro. And then you have Cross Harbour Bridge, which is taking place, the coastal road, which is taking place, the new airport, which is coming up on the side. So in Mumbai, not talking about the bullet train from Ahmedabad and the Samudri Express from Nagpur, we are spending 3 lakh crores of rupees of 3 lakh crores of rupees of budget in the next 5 years. In the last 60 years, central government and state government have spent 30,000 crores in Mumbai region. And we are now going to spend 3 lakh crores of rupees in this region.
Wow.
So the construction world, I mean, we can, all the construction contractors here, including all the leaders who are sitting, must be having a gala time. So where's the question of saying that it's just improved? It's a fantastic time. I mean, why the heaven? How can you say it's just a good time?
Nice. And Niranjan, I know that both on the infrastructure side and on the residential side, it has done well. I want to understand, is the office also booming the way residential is booming, or office is still sort of work from home and people are not coming into the office and the leasing hasn't been there?
The work from home has confused most of the people, even in these sectors which actually are working from home. So I know a CEO of a banker who told me that there's no problem in working from home. And I've heard some time back a very, very leading IT company which said only 20% of our people will work from office. So, but the same company today has ordered, 2 days back, has ordered that everybody must come to office 3 days a week. So they must come back to work. So I think the fact of work to home is a norm which is going to happen to a certain extent. But if GDP grows beyond 8 to 9% for India, requirement of commercial space will definitely grow. So answer is commercial space requirement and demand is certainly going to grow. Of course, certain sectors' requirements are going to collapse and things are going to happen there. But I don't think commercial spaces requirement will fall down if GDP grows up. But if GDP grows down beyond less than 7%, then of course commercial requirements will come down for a period until it moves back again.
It doesn't look like. I mean, India seems to be like an oasis in the global world, which is perhaps in turmoil at this moment in time.
I think turmoil is something which I can't predict, because I can't tell you that I never expected Ukraine to be able to continue to fight this war And this surprises me more than anybody else. So I would say that if this turmoil of Ukraine and this gets over, let's say in 6 months from today, I think you'll see a boom which is unprecedented. Same thing happened after all the wars which took place. So the kind of comeback is going to be so high that you won't believe it.
I agree. I'm going to change the gears, Niranjan bhai. I'm going to ask you 5 to 7 sort of quick questions. I'm going to put you on the spot on that. If you were going to have a dinner party with 4 people of your choice, who would that be on the invite list?
I promise you I would never have 4. And if there were people whom would do it, they would all be pretty women first. So it'd be fun to really have it. But I think I would choose one person who certainly is looking up today is Mr. Adani, and find out how you can do this kind of a thing, magic, which he's doing just now. He would be definitely number 1 on my list. And I think the second would be, I'm not much on TV, but I'd like to have a pretty actress certainly on the floor, and I would choose any one of them. Deepika Padukone looks good, Kareena Kapoor looks better, and somebody else looks even better. So I think I'm not worried about who it would be, but you want a good-looking person around you over there, nothing more than that, but just to have the person looking good. The third, I think, would be somebody who would be kind of aspiring to really move forward. I think young people who today aspire to actually grow, and there's so many people who are doing startups. For instance, I met a young guy called Shantanu, who's doing a Goodfellow startup and looking after the elderly people. So I think that's a great person to have, because you get new ideas of from very young people who are actually do that. And the last one, I think, would be somebody from the education sector. Because I think in the next couple of years, education is something which is going to grow most rapidly in our country. This, the COVID time taught me, I run 14 colleges in Bombay, 6 schools. We have about 45,000 students in colleges, 16,000 in schools. And I suddenly realized we can scale it up to 450,000 in the next 2 years, because technology is available and we can do great education. So I'd pick up a young educator who would teach me how to really scale up this whole model to do it. All the old people in the education field actually need to withdraw, including myself. But we need some young people to bring in technology, give us new ideas. How can I reach all the education that I need to the top end of the person? So somebody who's 35 years of age who really gets into that kind of a field. So a mix of good-looking people, bright people, top-end people, somebody you can look up to, somebody you can look up to who's younger to you also. So I think leadership in every field.
Fantastic. Big round of applause, guys. So an educationalist, a Bollywood actress, Mr. Adani, and you missed a politician, though.
Politicians, except Narendra Modi, there's no politician in India worth leadership. So I think you only have one person, and I don't think he'll join me for dinner. So, I've shared dinner table with him, but I don't think today he would join me for dinner. So why should I waste one chair, which I've called? So one and only one is Mr. Narendra Modi. I don't think there's any equivalent in the country as yet.
Niranjan bhai, please name a person who had a tremendous impact on you as a leader. Any person who you think had a tremendous impact on you.
Too many. I have a very simple thing. I choose a mentor every year. Really? And I remember when I started real estate as a business, I went to all the buildings at Nariman Point to just find out why is it that the maker buildings were made at the same time along with all the others. And the price of the difference between other buildings and maker buildings was 25 rupees a foot. So those were sold at 225, and this was sold at 275, 25, 50 rupees a foot. But the quality of the building was so much different. And today, the difference is in price is 20,000, 30,000. So you suddenly realize that if you really did something, so I learned that from him. Those were my mentors in the other days. Later on in the construction field, I had the mentor in terms of the Rahejas, and I realized how they're done. Mr. Lokhandwala, who did the Lokhandwala complex. And I saw Mr. K.P. Singh in Delhi, and I saw what he did. My biggest mentor was HDP of Singapore, Housing Development Board. My township, I got the idea from what was done in Singapore, and that's only 35 years ago. So I choose a new mentor every year in terms of it, and that's on the business side. And then you have the people who teach you other good values in life. And so I had Dada J.P. Vaswani, who 20 years ago, when I met him, he told me something, Niranjan, don't only do your best. So I said, I always try to do my best. Why should I not do my best? And he said, people say, I did my best, but I couldn't get the result. So you have to always do better than the best. And this is coming from a spiritual person. So when I looked up to him and I said, is he talking spirituality or is he talking something else? And he said, no, in life, everything in life you should do better. If you love somebody, love him better than the best. So I said, oh my God, do I have to do that in that segment too? And he said, why not? So you really pick up mentors whom you keep in mind, and in that year, you really follow that idea to its literal things, and you keep on thinking. So in your lifetime, I must have had 100 mentors whom I look up to and say, they are my leader, and I will use and learn from what they have to do in terms of project. Talking about Tata projects, they're doing my project in Panvel. And I told them a few tricks of how to do real estate. And one of their project engineers came to me the other day, and they said, you taught us this. Can we teach you something now? So I said, really? What do you want to teach me? I thought in real estate in 40 years I know everything. So they said, no, we'll show you a project in Thane. And they took me to a project in Thane. I had shown them how to speed up some work. And they said, now we can double your speed.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
nice,
and
nice.
give you the
well
quality
done.
of the work that we are doing. So, somebody whom I thought I was teaching is now my teacher. And if I'm not willing to learn from that teacher, then you grow old. So I love to be a learner all the time. Thank you.
And what a great learning on this is, Niranjan bhai, for many of us in this room, you are the mentor. You are the leader of the real estate industry. And for you to say is that, every year I pick up a mentor and I, go through that learning process. There is a lot of introspection that we guys need to do, who think is that, we've arrived at this stage. And here, somebody that we all look up to is saying is that I reincarnate myself every year by finding a mentor, and not only just on the business side, but also on the personal side, and continue to learn. A couple of more questions. And what is the most dangerous trait in a leader? What is the most dangerous trait in a leader?
One, of course, which I already said, which you're not willing to learn all the time. And the second is not to be a good listener.
Not to be a good listener.
Yeah. The moment you stop listening, then you move at 35,000 feet. And if you don't get the pulse of what's happening at the ground level, the leader will die out sooner or later. So he may be a political leader, he may be a leader in construction, he may be a leader in any field of activity. You have to be a great listener and be willing to constantly imbibe knowledge, information, things in terms of not only learning, but also being in touch. I can tell you, I have learned so many things from somebody who's a very junior person in my organization. I'll give you an example. The new shuttering which came in terms of it in the real estate industry. And I found that when you use the new shuttering, all my buildings will start leaking. And this was pointed out to me by the junior most of my people who just mentioned it in one of the kind of meetings that we held. And I said, do you think it's really so? So he said, yes, all the new buildings you're constructing is going to leak. And this is my own staff telling me that. And then, we paid attention to it and we fixed it before the problem came up. And I know so many buildings using new technology are leaking like mad. So if you're not listening and if your people are not willing to actually listen to the ground level, you will find that you may be a great leader, but that will be a great leader of yesterday, not of today. So if you want to continue to be a great leader, you have to listen, and you have to listen in a proactive way. I don't mean that not necessarily everybody's going to teach you everything, but you've got to listen and pick up some things which are very critical and important to do.
Yeah. And all the people in this room are very senior, and one of the things that we don't do very well is really listen. We like to talk. I think what is important is to zip up your mouth and start to listen. And he's right in what he's saying, is that they could be the junior most guy within the organization. If you listen, you may learn something out of that. I'm not going to let you go, Niranjan. Just one more. What is one thing that makes you the most proud of yourself? One thing that makes you most proud of yourself? He's such a humble guy that he is struggling to find answer to this question whilst he's answered everything else.
I think I'm always proud about the fact that I'm of service to people. And I can give a lot to society, B, to my people, my stakeholders, my city, my country, my anything. I think I'm very proud of the fact that I can contribute. I mean, I worked towards creating the first national housing policy of India.
Wow.
I signed on the slum scheme of Maharashtra and was part of the Bala Saheb's team for the purpose of creating the policy. I worked on the PMAY scheme with the Government of India, which has produced 1.1 crore houses for the affordable segment. I think I worked with Dr. Mashelkar for the education policy, new education policy for Maharashtra. I think that contribution to be able to make that change in terms of an overall contribution, like for instance, my hospital, I was down with COVID. And at that time, I didn't know what to do because 10 days I was in my hospital. So the only thing I could think is, now what can I do in my own hospital? And they said, we have done it all, and they had done a lot. So I told them, let's think of something new. So now we have done transplants. So we have started kidney transplant, liver transplant. We're going to do heart transplant, something which we had not done before. So all the time trying to think that in every segment of life that I should be able to contribute something, and I feel happy about it. I don't know whether I'm proud of it, but I'm really happy internally that I can do it. I lecture to students at least once in 10 days, so 3-4 times a month minimum, right from KG class to PhD students and IITs and IIMs and all that. I love teaching, so I think I feel very good that I can communicate with students and the class doesn't move out. I had 1,600 students in IIT for 1 hour, 5 minutes, and not one left. So they told me, your biggest compliment to you is that yours is the only lecture in the last 1 year where not a single person left the auditorium while you were speaking. So I said, is that the only good thing I spoke in the whole thing? So I think I feel very happy. I don't think the right word is proud, but I think I feel happy that I've been able to do all these things. That's all.
And this is the man who is a self-made man. He's a chartered accountant. Many of us think is that Niranjan Bhai's Pawai Hiranandani city must have been done by his dad. Actually, he's the guy who bought it, who conceptualized it, who delivered everything, and yet he's not said a word of that. What he's been able to do it in Pawai. Niranjan Bhai, it's been absolute pleasure, honored to meet up with you and interact. Thank you very much.